We've got a special guest with us today, Elizabeth, who has been doing this work for many years. And what's so amazing is she's actually now a healer of her own. So she's a life coach who has started her own practice and went through our practitioner training and is still very involved with us. So she's here to share her successes and her journey with us to provide inspiration and hope for you guys. So Elizabeth, thanks for joining. I'm really excited for people to meet you and hear your story. So would you mind sharing how long have you been working with us and with the tools that you've been learning?
I started working with Integrity Wellness in February of 2018. And is it okay if I share a little bit about where I was at in life at that point?
Absolutely.
Okay, so I had, I was about 3/4 of the way through a course where you develop yourself in creating teams and doing like projects in the community. And I had just discovered that coaching was the perfect fit for my life's passion. And so it was like a 5-year goal. Like someday, I had just 1 month earlier filed for divorce for the 3rd time from the same man. And I was a single mom. I'd been living on my own away, like as a single person with my kids for about 4 years. And that's when I started working with you guys.
I love that you pulled out some of the parts of life, because usually people experience that they go rock bottom, or that it gets really ugly or nasty, or there's a lot of trauma to sort through, or it kind of throws a wrench into life's plans for years. So it's actually beautiful that that's the point where you started just creating a new life for yourself. That's really inspiring. What has it been like having these tools? Like, what are the biggest changes that you've seen from doing this work in your life, your professional life, healing from divorce, creating a new life? Just share what the biggest things you have are. I know you've done a lot of different work from Karen and us, and just a lot of the different belief switches and emotional release and knowing muscle testing for yourself. So share with us what changed.
So in February, when I met you, Michal, and started working with Integrity Wellness, I had just gotten ready to work with you in a panel of coaches, and I didn't know myself as a coach yet. So it was the scariest thing I'd ever done in my life, because it was going to be public and published. And I remember making a phone call to the friend that helped me organize the group and just being like, "Are you crazy? What are you thinking?" And then I did it anyway, but it was very, very nerve-wracking. And my experience of life was, my whole life had centered around having my marriage work, and I was finally facing that it was definitely going to be dissolved in a divorce. So I had a lot of triggers, frequent triggers, a lot of fear in my life. And over time, and especially with the belief switches, so I did quite a bit of work with your company, but what I want to talk about especially are the belief switches. I would switch a belief, and then sometimes it would be like super obvious, a huge shift where I would just suddenly no longer have a certain major anxiety. For example, there was a guy that I fell in love with and dated for a long time, after my divorce, which happened a couple months after we started working together. Anyways, and it was so triggering. Like, I'd get emotionally triggered about once a week, and I would wake up the next day going, I lost my mind again the night before, and after one of those belief switches, that just went away. No more trauma, just like, oh, okay. I could see the situation differently, but it was like, whatever about it had been so sensitive and such a red hot button wasn't. So there's that. Then another thing was the fear. I remember this was a more subtle one, but when the fear disappeared, it was like, I used to have these conversations like, I'm always keeping my calendar full. I'd be going to one thing, and I was going to be on time, but barely. So I'd be in this stressed out mode, and I would just have this like fear conversation, or I'd be thinking about doing something, but it was something I might not win the game of, or I might not succeed at. And I just would be run by this fear conversation, like, it's not worth it because the threat of failing is so ominous. It occurred like I was not going to exist anymore. If I failed at this thing, it was that big. And then we did a belief switch. I'm not sure which one it was. And my core belief shifted. And then that conversation was just gone. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to do this. And looking back, I'm like, wow, I wasn't even afraid to, put myself on the line in front of 60 people I don't know and share my heart or whatever it was. Yeah, I'm going to be late. Okay, well, I think I'll send a text, or maybe I'll ask Google to send a text over voice. Like, just the fear conversation is not present for me anymore. What's really remarkable for me, so now it's been a little over 2 years, 2.5 years actually, since I started working with you. Now, if I get triggered, which is so, like, I have experienced triggers since COVID started. I have had the supports of my life implode like the rest of most of the world. As a single mom, the library, the park, school, all those things that allowed me to play the games that I play in the world went away at the same time. And I became a compulsory homeschooling mother of 5 children. So after all...
This woman.
What?
Plus a businesswoman.
Oh yeah. Meanwhile, I was renovating a second home to sell and also running a business, right? So like, it was like these stresses just kept piling up. So anyways, so I have definitely experienced some triggers in the last 3 months. And every time I do, it's interesting because I'm like, oh, I must have a belief associated with that that's still running me. I wonder what it is. And that never would have occurred to me before, as the freedom to go, I know there's something I can do about this, and there's no drama that I'm being triggered. It's just, even though I have the physiological response, like whether it's, the sadness or the crying or the upset, or maybe I'm yelling at my kids, whatever the physical thing is, I get that. And I have this conscious awareness of like, that's not who I am. So I know I can use the technology that I got from you to resolve it permanently. And I've actually got some of those books right now because of that in my calendar, like, take time to do a belief switch. So, yeah, it's been such a worthwhile journey and such a surprising, so the effects of it, they just keep going over time. And it's surprising to me. Like, it's almost surprising to look back and see who I was, because I don't react the same way to things. And right now, my mantra is I do what I want. And it's a way of me trying to own that I choose my life. It's like a snarky mantra, I do what I want. But that would have been run with guilt and all this other stuff before. Now it's like, I got nothing about it. It's just for fun. And I know what I mean by it. So yeah, my life is a lot freed up.
That's so beautiful. I want to speak to what you say too, because as you talk, we just fall in love with you because you're owning who you are. You're this beautiful, glowing woman. And of course you get to have the life that you want. And for many people who are at the start of this journey, that's like impossible. That's like not even relatable how that could even be real. So I love for you guys to share it's real and it does keep giving, and life shakes you up. So I'm going to talk about a few of the things that you talked about for anybody new. Your triggers are stuff that's unresolved, that's inside you. They're not the external events, the family members, they're not COVID. That's just a catalyst that shakes stuff up. And what Elizabeth is talking about is there's no drama or anxiety about getting shaken up anymore, because she knows that she can get to the root cause of that trigger. And like she said, eliminate it permanently. So the response is there, but she's not stuck with it. And immediately she's got this dialogue. Oh, I wonder what that root cause is. And then she schedules time on her calendar and ends that. And then all these other areas of life magically get better too, that we're being impacted from that same negative belief. So I love, Elizabeth, how you said, at the beginning part, you stepping out into areas you thought you wanted to, starting to be on a coaching panel that you didn't know yourself as a coach was the scariest thing in your life. And as you talk and you share your changes, you're like, no, I just went and spoke in front of a group of 60 people, and I just, did this and did that. And it's with ease. It becomes easy. And I love how you said, after these belief switches, those triggers, those fears would just be gone. Like they wouldn't even be there to wrestle with or fight with or have to cope through. And for people who might be new, belief switch is one of the things that we teach here, and we've got videos on beliefs, so you can search. And these are core subconscious beliefs that we develop by age 6. And the fact that they're subconscious means you're not aware of them. And no amount of therapy or talking or EMDR or personal development or seminars or books or Tony Robbins, those aren't going to change those core subconscious beliefs. And that's why your brain ends up kicking out all that motivation and inspiration that you get at the therapist, because Elizabeth had been in personal development before us. How long?
2009 was my first course, so
and you had
around 9 years.
Yeah, and you had done therapy as well, yeah?
Oh, years of therapy, so much therapy.
And there's still these patterns, these automatic triggers and things that you just constantly have to fight through, cope with, whatever. And it's beautiful because when the subconscious brain actually gets rewired, those beliefs change, the emotions that your brain produces, the thoughts that your brain produces, your way of being in response to life changes, the behaviors you take change. You just see opportunities completely different. So what we tell people is after you switch a belief, you see the past, the present, and the future totally different. So those past traumas don't hurt anymore. Your present life looks different. Nothing actually changed, but it looks different and feels different. And your future opportunities look different to you, and you make different choices that you never thought you actually could make. So that's what Elizabeth's talking about there. And I love, Elizabeth, that you didn't beat around the bush. This isn't like you're not really superwoman, as in you're immune to the effects of life. Like COVID really freaking threw a lot at you, just like all of us. But your ability to handle life events, which will happen all the time, up and down, everywhere, your ability to handle those things is what actually kept you grounded and pulled you back into growth and your power, and actually became a catalyst for more healing, for more growth, for more freedom, because COVID just shook up what was already inside. So, okay, so share with us, I want to hear, before we get there, I want to hear about your journey into becoming a practitioner, a life coach, and how you were able to do that. That's really scary for a lot of people. A lot of people are like, I can't just make money. It's a pipe dream. It's a someday dream.
Yes.
I want to hear how this made a difference for you in launching your practice, making real money, getting real clients, and doing it probably faster than you thought you could.
Yeah, for sure. So when I met you, I was still in someday mode. I don't know, everything. And so, okay, my journey.
That's a big one. I don't have all the credentials I need. I don't have everything I need. I don't have the capital to build a beautiful website. I don't even know quite what I do.
Right. I was like, I don't know how to find people. I don't know how to get them to say yes. And I definitely don't know how to have them hand me money. Right. So,
because everyone I know doesn't have it.
There's that.
Have the money to give me. Yes. I hear that one a lot.
Okay. So it started with, working with someone smarter than me, and that was you, and more experienced. As we worked together on that panel and developed some trust, you provided me the insight that there was an opportunity to learn in your company and to begin to see my own results. And so I started mentoring and being coached by you, and looking at what was needed to cause results and training, and then to go right into making a difference for people. So I began working with someone stronger, more experienced, and who was clear already for themselves. That made a huge difference for me. In that time period, while you were also supporting me as my coach, I was able to start getting nurtured and fed by the results I was seeing the clients I was working with get. So I would get texts in the middle of the week that just made me bawl because, you know, for the first time ever, this grandchild is talking to this grandmother, or for the first time ever, or not necessarily, it's not always the first, for, you know, this person recovering from an injury that's just been feeling alone in the world is now reconnected to her social circle. Like these things that really make a difference in people's lives. That was huge for allowing me to get clear about my own value. And then getting freed up from the fear. And, you know, I already knew that I wasn't able to do it. Like I knew one of my core beliefs was not enough, like incapable or insufficient and not smart enough. So all those were a motor that was going to stop me from winning my game. And as those one by one started to get handled, I was able to move forward and then ask for what I needed and ask for what I needed. And then eventually, you know, you gave me the push to like, hey, have your own baby. And I was like, okay. That sounds terrifying. Ah! But I went into it with some background of having integrity in my life. Like my life was in order, my finances were in order, things were handled such that I had the structure needed to take a jump off of a cliff, knowing that worst case scenario, there's a trampoline at the bottom. But I might make it across to the next mountain, right? We don't know. So that's when I just went out and started talking to people and networking with, I particularly like BNI. I believe in person face-to-face networking. And yeah, then having to bring myself as the unknown professional. So in BNI, it's a group of people that each one is a different profession. So for me to come into the group, there were no other coaches. And so mostly 100% unrelated professions. So I had to come and in 40 seconds every week, explain to people who had no idea what I was, and that I was pricelessly valuable, right? Anyways, it's been fantastic. And having the freedom of, well, I'm going to do what I'm going to take bold action and see what worked and what didn't, versus before the conversation of, if it doesn't work, it's because it's evidence that I am a failure. Like that used to run everything. And so now it's just like, yeah, it's either going to work or it's not. Do I want to do it or don't I? I want to do it. Okay, let's fail fast, fail forward, right? Yeah. So is that enough about the journey?
That's great. Yep. And I love that what you said was when I made the choice to dive in, I wanted to start making a difference. And you did not say I wanted to start making money. And that's what's beautiful about building an authentic career for yourself as a healer, is that you are able to actually love what you do, not be stuck in a scarcity conversation, money, because that's not what it's about.
Yes. So there's the conversation of scarcity, and then there's the logistics of money, right? So when you're in when your subconscious beliefs are running your money conversation, it's like the perfect storm. Yep. And you can't deal with the logistics. You can deal with the logistics all day long and it doesn't matter, because you're still run by, you know, if I run out of money, I'm going to die. That's what I used to think. When you run out of money, you die. So at all costs, you don't run out of money, right? And you don't take money risks. That is like, so that was running me before. But when you deal with that conversation such that you can be at peace and be with money, it's just money, then you can move into dealing with the logistics, which is having your life in order such that you can step out. You know, maybe you can put in 2 hours a day into developing yourself as a coach and starting to get results. Or maybe you can do 2 hours a week. But whatever you can do and still have your life work, you can keep doing forever. So does that make sense?
Absolutely. So another thing that you talked about, there was just a little delay there, so I was making sure we were live, is that you must have workability in life. And all these schools, all these certification programs, all these coaching programs, all these things that you do, they don't actually delve into every area of your life and making sure there's workability. And you were saying you wouldn't have been able to take those big leaps of faith, you know, if you didn't have workability in every single area. So before anybody can be a true healer or a true coach or a true therapist, what have you, you've got to be living the work yourself. And that doesn't just mean emotionally or mentally or, you know, I'm more positive or I have less triggers. That also means that every area of life you get real results and you can create workability in. So I love that you brought that out, because it's something that we don't see is anywhere else. And another thing you said is, you know, when you started networking, you know, you love your networking system. And to really have this be effective, people have to network in a way that's authentic for them. And there's no one right way. We've got another woman right now who BNI is not a fit for her personality at all whatsoever. And so she's got to go through other platforms. So, you know, when you're in business school or when you're in school for any of these things or you're learning, that's what's different, is they give you general principles for standard business, but nobody can end up talking about what they do. Nobody can keep the passion alive. Nobody can actually make money and have it be sustainable and teach other people to do the same. And so I love how you shared with joy what networking is for you, because it really can be a beautiful, exciting thing when it matches your authentic self-expression. And the last thing you said was getting experience with mentorship. So another big difference is you can have all the knowledge in the world and you can have credentials behind your name, but the best school of life is experience, and we know that through all of our experience. And we don't practice what we learned in school, we practice what works because of our experience. So it's beautiful that you actually get so much experience. So by the time the training wheels are off, you're already up and running with a business and have already practiced what you've learned. So I love that you brought that out. May I ask, how long did it take you to start making money when you went out, when you started your business?
Yep. Let's see. So I landed my first client in about 70 days-ish.
Awesome.
And then it was actually that client coming back to the networking group and sharing like, whoa, she's amazing. That made a huge difference. And then I got to present a more detailed program. Like every week you get 40 seconds, but once a year or so you get 10 minutes. And when I did my 10 minutes, I landed like a handful of clients, let's say. So, yep.
And it spreads like wildfire. So for people who don't know, that's like before graduation, before you actually are even complete with your training, you have money in your pocket and you're making a difference. Remember, Elizabeth didn't say I wanted to start making, or I didn't want to start making money. She said I wanted to start making a difference right away. And that those texts fueled.
Yeah. And when you say it spreads like wildfire, it can be a spread, but definitely I've seen some like expansion and contraction of that. So just to speak to that, what I've just discovered is that when I put it on my marketing group, or excuse me, I have a marketer and I have a networking group. When my marketer, when her job is to make me money, I don't make money. When I make it my networks, they're supposed to be my sales team. And when I put it on them for me to make money, I don't make money. So what I noticed was I wasn't being responsible to be the one who causes the revenue. And that's what I've stepped into. So it's also a willingness to just have your butt on the line, that you're never going to blame Integrity Wellness. You're never going to blame the guy who made your website. And you're not going to blame your best client who was supposed to give you a Google review last month that you're not making revenue. So that's brought a lot of peace too. And for those who are interested in becoming a coach, you just got to be willing to be 100% responsible. So I know your clientele will appreciate that phrase without a lot of backstory.
Oh yeah, we do a lot of work on what that means. Yep, good. And you have to be willing. You are where you are in life because of you, nothing else, which means you're the solution.
Yes, I like taking all the action, but making other people responsible. I'll do what my marketer says. Oh, my bank account still didn't go up. Those must not have been the right actions. Versus I will stand in, my rubric is now my bank account. What am I being and doing such that that hasn't moved, right?
Wow, so powerful. And what you're demonstrating is the ongoing ability, like you said, it keeps giving, the ongoing ability to look at results in life and say, what's really not working? What's the root cause?
I want to speak to something else you pointed out. You pointed out that I'm willing to do the work in every area of life. And you said something else. I wanted to point out that in order to be effective, you don't have to have the results your clients want to cause. But you have to be willing to do, not even willing, you have to do the work ongoingly for yourself.
Yeah.
Now, I would never want to stop doing the work because it has just dramatically raised my quality of life. Like, even if I never coached another day, which would be very sad for me because this is what I was born to do. But even if, like, suddenly I had a new calling in life and I never coached again, I would never want to stop doing the work. This has given me the freedom to, like, live alive instead of half dead.
Wow. That's beautiful. That's absolutely beautiful. So what else, what do you want people to know who, you know, the people in this group, most of them are at rock bottom dealing with trauma and change and grief and loss. And they, you know, you're so far in their mind, you're so far ahead that maybe there's something special about you that they just don't have. It's like what you're talking about, not only moving through trauma and healing and gaining a life and creating amazing things, but it's like now you found your life's passion and purpose. Yeah. You work for yourself, you have your own schedule, you make your own money, you have workability in every area, you have support, you know, a community of support forever. I mean, it's just like so far beyond. So what do you want to tell people, whether they know they want to be a healer, whether they're just stuck with their trauma? Like, what do you want them to know?
You know, is it okay if I share my relationship model? It's a graphic.
Yeah, absolutely.
So my company is called Thriving Results Coaching, and I have created an image to just like to encompass what it takes to have everything work. And I wanted to speak to, you start from the ground up, except in my image, it actually is the ground. So let me just show this really quick. Okay. You'll need to go to security and enable my screen sharing.
Because Zoom has changed because we live in a different world. My peoples. Okay, 1 second.
It's under security on the bottom.
Did that work?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good.
Okay. Are you looking at a house?
We can see it now.
Okay. So, and I can see this path in my own journey as well. We all start needing to add in integrity. Integrity is the first step, and I do not mean moral integrity. Just a quick primer, even though hopefully all of you already know what I mean. It means declaring who you are and living from that word. Mm-hmm. That who you let in your life, who you spend time on the phone with, aligns how you treat telemarketers or scammers, aligns with who you say you are. And when it doesn't, and I don't mean if it doesn't, when it doesn't, you clean it up. That's all that integrity means, okay? But we all start there. So if I'm so far down the road, I mean, I've got partnerships going with people. Mikal is one of them. So if I'm so far down the road, great. Start with integrity. Mikal, I know you've got fabulous resources for this. This is so fun. I'm just publishing a series of blogs called When You Should Get Divorced. But what it really is, because when you should get divorced is after you have put in all the pieces to have a happy, full, wonderful life, and you are living the dream of aligned, like happy, then you'll be clear to know if there's some reason you need to get a divorce, and not before. That's why it's a 6-part series. So it's really got a how-to on starting to rigorously apply integrity. And then the next one is how to rigorously apply 100% ownership, etc. Okay, so the idea is you start from the ground up. And I guess that's what I wanted to say about that. Everyone starts where they are, and this whole model, and also Michal's approach, allows for no make wrong. Along the way, you will be able to let go of making yourself wrong, that you're not whatever stupid ideal you've made up you should be.
I love it. And, you know, it's so beautiful because as you shared, we learn from our peers and we learn from people who are so far ahead of us, and that this is really possible and you can heal and you can create anything in life. It's just oozing out of you, all the principles that we teach. And we have funny, you talk about your series on when you should get divorced, because we have a woman right now who's been in our work many, many years who's going through a divorce right now. And she texts me, you guys, it's phenomenal what it's like to be a graduate of this work and engaged in your healing. She texted me the other day, my life is so full of love. There is so much love present between me and the person I'm divorcing that it seems like it's a fantasy. And that's the kind of amazing, not messy, you know, everything's going to work out absolutely amazing. Both people, she was saying, I think it's because both of us are being so freed up to be our authentic selves and get what we really want in life. And she has this work that it's just absolutely extraordinary. Now, divorce shakes you up. It's still a hard process. Life is hard. But when you have these tools, it becomes so much easier because you're clear, you know who you are. You have that foundation beneath you. And then she posted another thing. Actually, we posted it in the group on loneliness. And that was something that she posted within 24 hours of texting me. I'm amazed at how much love is in this relationship while we're going through a divorce. And you guys, nothing special about them. This could have been really, really ugly. There's a lot of factors involved that could be really, really ugly. It's literally just being willing to show up and have integrity and do your work and not be triggered and know how to get to the root of your triggers, because they will come up, and knowing how to communicate and handle the messy. I mean, all those parts of life are real. And so we've got to have them work. And so she posts about how she's not lonely because she can always find love and connection. She has everything she needs inside her. She's not looking for that externally, whether she's not blaming him, which a lot of blame happens in divorce. She's not looking to blame. You know, she keeps gathering herself up with responsibility. So it's really amazing how quickly you can move on and create a new life. It happens relatively quickly. This isn't years and years or some days. It's right now.
I tell people that if they will get rigorous and get an accountability partner, they can advance through that model with 1 to 2 months per step. It doesn't have to take forever. It just takes a willingness to give up the way you're doing things. Give up what, you know.
Give up your willingness to suffer.
Yes, give up your, and Glennon Doyle said to create a new life, what is required is we can have a new life to the degree to which, I'm having some background noise.
That's okay, kiddo's playing.
Hey guys, I'm recording. We can have a new life to the degree to which we're willing to have our current life annihilated. Hold one moment, please.
So absolutely, that's one of the things that we say is like, are you no longer willing to suffer? How much longer are you willing to continue what's going on without fixing the root cause? And it really does take people at the end of their rope, no longer willing. I can't live my life like this anymore. For you to be ready to actually take the steps it takes to permanently heal and permanently create structures that work and step into that new life. And for those of you who are inspired, who maybe want to become healers and coaches because you know what it's like to suffer from trauma or divorce or grief or loss, or maybe you just want to heal and do something else that you're really passionate about. Maybe you don't even know what that is yet, but you want to figure it out and have the freedom to do so. There's a link in the description with with my calendar. So you can book a free breakthrough call with me, and we will sit down and talk about what symptoms you're experiencing. We will talk about what you've done to try to fix it, what's been missing the whole time, and how to address the root causes, and a specific plan of action for you, not for everyone, for you, to do what you need to do to address those root causes and get permanent healing, and then step into what that big new life is for yourself. One where you wake up excited and fulfilled, and you know that you have the tools to handle all the stuff that comes and shakes you up and gives you curveballs, and you can create that new relationship to money and start having abundance mindset for once, you know, and you can, it just spreads to every other area of life. Like Elizabeth's, the top tier in the house was connection, right? Partnership. So then you experience partnership everywhere, and intimacy and love everywhere, and good communication everywhere, so that you really can create every part of your life working. So if you are no longer willing to stay stuck in the cycle of trauma, you're ready to step up into that big new life, click that link for a breakthrough call. After you've scheduled a time with me, it's going to take you to a short 1-page application, and that's where you're going to fill it out. So I've got some more details on you, and then we're just going to show up and have a life-changing call, and it really is going to put an end to the cycle that's been happening and really create an opening for you to step into a new life and know what it's going to actually take to get that new life and live that new life. So thank you, Elizabeth, for sharing your story. Is there anything you want to say just as a parting thought?
Thank you for having me, and I love sharing the resources that we create. So if it would be a support to any of your listeners, Thriving Results Coaching on Facebook, and of course you've got Integrity Wellness Worldwide as well. So I'm happy to be here, Nicole. Thank you.
Absolutely. And you guys, we use Elizabeth's coaching and her structures and the things that she's created. It's now feeding back into you guys. So absolutely, we'll look at the resources so that we can get them some good information on what we talked about today. Thanks so much. And thanks everybody for joining us. Bye.